I just wanted to send a quick hello and I love you. Oh, good news. I'm gonna be coming home soon. Yay! Oh, I cannot wait to be done with this babysitting job and come home to my loving husband. I miss you. Oh, I gotta get back to work. I love you, Ethan. I miss you so much. I'm sending tons of kisses. Bye, baby.
Ethan. You were right. I did lie to you. I shouldn't have. All I can say is that if you get this, stay away.
From Resident Evil, the final chapter. It's horrible. Like, really, really bad. Like, oh my god, guys, seriously, Resident Evil, the final chapter is so bad. Like, it's so bad, I don't want to look at it again. That's why you're looking at footage from Resident Evil 7, the video game right now, which I actually really do like, despite how much I hate Resident Evil, the final chapter. Now, this isn't going to be a proper review, as you could probably tell here. No, this is going to be me ranting and just nitpicking and just pulling at every loose end and string that I can as I show off the awesomeness of Resident Evil 7, because everybody should go out and buy Resident Evil 7 that is a video gamer, because we need more games like this and less games like Resident Evil 6. Come on, guys, let's make 7 a real success here. But anyway, Resident Evil 7. Look at this. It's a rather pretty, rather pleasant opening after that rather horrific stuff with Mia is that character's name. And I like this opening and how beautiful and how serene it kind of is, but also sort of foreboding, especially considering how nightmaric and over the top it becomes later on in the game. It creates a wonderful contrast. And then you stop and you consider that contrast in regards to Resident Evil, the final chapter, and just...
This is the place.
This is the place, Ethan. Thank you for interrupting. I'm talking here. But anyway, that kind of complexity, that basic contrast of the beginning versus the end, you can't even find that in Resident Evil, the final chapter. Like, they can't even do that. Like, it opens with Alice wandering through the wasteland of a battlefield that we don't get to see. I mean, come on, they teased this massive battle and destroyed Washington, D.C. at the end of the last movie. But what do they do when it opens with this movie? They just skip that battle that they promised us? Ugh. And it's like the tradition of the Resident Evil movies is to end in a way that the next movie can immediately pick up from. And they all do this to some extent or another, and the fact that they just skip over it here is just so insulting to any fan base that they could have had gathered over the years. Because believe it or not, the Resident Evil movies actually do have a rather dedicated fan base. Hell, I've liked a couple of the games. I mean, the movies. And I've liked a couple of the Resident Evil games. Like I said, I really like Resident Evil 7 here. I also really liked 4. 5 was okay, but overall kind of dumb. Could never play 6, and I've just played the original 3 sporadically. But I did really like the first 2 Resident Evil movies, and the third one, even with how stupid it is, and it's fucking stupid. There's still things in it that I can enjoy for how campy and over the top and just ridiculous and how horrible it is. But the final chapter, man, like... Okay, first of all, it rewrites so much of the franchise lore, and I can't believe I'm actually about to preach for the purity of the Resident Evil movie franchise here right now, but in the 6th film of your franchise, it's not really a good time to suddenly say, oh, this character didn't die, they're still alive, oh, this character wasn't what you thought it was, this character isn't even in existence anymore, that character is now this character who's a completely different character than what they were before, and also this character is completely different than what they were before. It's just mind-boggling. Why would you make this many changes 6 movies into the franchise? Like Scary Dude. Why would you suddenly do that? Why would anybody make that drastic of changes in what's supposed to be the final film of the franchise? And the answer is because it's not the final film. There's gonna be more. That's a pretty shot. I really like this right here. Again, this is just this is beautiful. Like, I don't ever want to go to Louisiana, really, but things like this, maybe I'll go. Maybe not for the stuff that happens later, but I mean, all this is kind of beautiful. I mean, not this. This is kind of disgusting right here, actually. And that really got me, actually, the first time I played this. I wasn't ready for that. And I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at. Is that like a horse carcass? Anyway. And that's another lovely sight right there. Actually, you know what would make Trump's wall work? Not to get political, but if Trump's wall was made from carcasses and buzzsaw blades like that is right there, immigrants would never come here again. I'm telling you. If anyone in Trump's cabinet is listening to this right now, make the wall out of carcasses and buzzsaws. All immigrant problems will be solved, I promise you. Oh God, sorry. Okay, but where was I? I like some of the movies. I don't like others of the movies, but that's a pretty generic statement. Okay, so let's get to like what really upset me with Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. This is what I was talking about a second ago. It's not going to be the last one. It's called The Final Chapter, and it's not going to be the last one. Can you believe that? It boggles my brain trying to wrap my head around that. Why would you call it The Final Chapter? I don't think we've seen anything this silly since, I think it was Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, in like the 80s. We're doing things from the 80s, and I love the 80s. I was technically born in the 80s, so I'm a child of the 80s in a way, but there was some silly stuff back then. And hey, look at this. Ooh, come get me. But in the opening video, she said, stay away? Ooh, more contrasts. What's up with that? A mystery. Something to beckon you forward. A simple little hint at something off going on. And you want to know what the answer is. As you push a swing. I got kind of wrapped up in this. I honestly don't even know why. And I've got a lot of footage of this, too, of me just pushing this. But what's funny is you'll actually get more out of watching me push this swinging bench than watching Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. Like, there's more depth and more thought put into what I'm doing right now than in Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. And actually, you know what? I'll take that back. There was thought. No, psych, one more. Okay, maybe two more. I missed this. Here comes the second one here. Yeah, there it is. But there was some thought put into Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. It was just into completely rewriting the franchise so you could reboot it in a way with the next movie, I'm guessing, even though this is supposed to be the final chapter that ends on a cliffhanger of... Ooh, Windex? Windex. In a... what is that, WD-40? Well, I'll give the people that live here this. They do keep the windows very clean despite being covered in barbed wire. That cannot be an easy thing to pull off. That takes commitment and time. But anyway... I'm getting really distracted here. I told you this wasn't going to be a typical review. I'm already 8 minutes in, but like, who cares? This is the Resident Evil franchise we're talking about here. The games, there's some prestige for them. They're like 22 years old now, and there's a really built-in fan base for it. It's got a legitimate legacy. It's been around for a while, and it's probably going to be around for a lot longer, considering how good Resident Evil 7 here is. But as for the movies, they're 15 years old. We're 6 films deep. And to anyone watching this video, tell me something about Alice. Tell me something about the main character of the Resident Evil movie franchise. Anything. Just something about her. Oh, oh, God. Cockroach. Oh, I do not like cockroaches in my what the fuck stew. Thank you very much. Like, the one thing you're not supposed to put in what the fuck stew is cockroaches. Come on, guys. Yeah. But seriously, one thing. Tell me one thing about Alice other than she kicks ass. Anything. Can you? No, you can't, because she has no character other than being able to kick ass. And she kicks ass really well, especially when it comes to kicks. Mila Jovovich knows how to make a kick look good on camera. And, oh, God, do I wish that Mila could get on with her career and do other things other than Resident Evil already. She was so good in things like Fifth Element, and say what you will about The Messenger, but she was really good. And say what you will about the Resident Evil movies, she's always really good. Crow in a microwave! Mila Jovovich is always really good in these Resident Evil movies. They're just never good enough to support her because they're all just so bad. And they all have the same structure. Almost all of them start with Alice waking up somewhere. This movie, the final chapter, does that as well. And if she's not waking up somewhere, she's going somewhere. It's so formulaic. And then after she's woken up and she's wandering or along her way to the place that she's going, she bumps into characters from the games. A bunch of zombies or monsters that are tied into the games show up. It was a big climactic thing, a callback to the laser hallway scene from the first movie, and then you roll credits after a cliffhanger. Every single Resident Evil, Resident Evie, the Pokemon, Resident Evil movie follows that formula that I just said right there. And I know that, you can argue that that's the point. It's supposed to be weirdly dreamlike and stuff, because she's called Alice, and Alice Through the Looking Glass, Wonderland, cleverness, red queens, white queens, we're deep and complex, take us seriously. But it's just so vapid and hollow and ultimately meaningless. Like, are you trying to say that playing a video game, like, what's funny is there's a reflection thing and all that in the options, but I actually did turn it on at one point, but you still couldn't see yourself. I thought that was kind of silly. But look, if you're, I understand, maybe the minds behind the Resident Evil franchise are trying to draw some kind of thing between playing video games and getting trapped in Wonderland. But but what's the point? You're saying it, but why are you saying it? You're not, oh, that's creepy. Where's my wife? Why is my wife in this creepy picture in this creepy house? And that's not helping the situation either. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Ooh, a piano. I want to play the piano. Yeah, come on. Ah! Ooh. Now I'm really creeped out. Well, I don't want to look at this picture, but I'm going to look at this picture anyway. That's foreboding and ominous. Yeah, TV, fireplace. Hey, they look like a lovely family. Creepy knocking sound. Oh, and up here in a second, we're going to go into like a... what do you call it? A Blair Witch Project type thing. It should be pretty fun. Because that's something this game actually does really good. Callbacks to iconic things from movies, like especially specifically horror movies. I've recognized things from Poltergeist, from the Blair Witch Project, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. No, excuse me, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I cannot talk right now. But they're cute little homages, and they're little moments that are just supposed to remind you of things from other movies. But they do it in a way that they're also making it. Hey, that got me actually. Well done, game. So you now hear it's like all found footagey style, for these people that are like ghost debunkers type things. I don't know, it's fun stuff. Now you go back over a lot of the stuff. You'll see. And the swing, actually, you see this? It's swinging. I wonder if that's affected because of all the play I was doing earlier. One more time. Yeah, there it is. So, Resident Evil: The Final Chapter also has little homages in it, but unlike this game, Resident Evil 7, the homages in the final chapter just feel like they're stealing things. Because it's not just little throwaway moments, it's big climactic moments. It's like the death of a main antagonist who's been a villain for half these movies, if not more. He's taken out in a way that's like directly stolen from RoboCop. Like, there's a guy, part of the evil organization, that the good guy wants to stop, but the good guy can't stop because they're programmed to not hurt people that are part of the corporation, but then the person that's part of the corporation gets fired, so then the good guy can stop him and kill him. And it's the same scene! And then immediately after that, they rip off a scene from Terminator 2 with a dying person holding on to an explosive dead man's trigger, and when they die, it explodes and all the things go kaboomy! The death of a main antagonist for this film franchise stole from two of the best sci-fi movies ever made. And again, the difference is, like, when Resident Evil 7 does a little Blair Witch thing, it's just a little thing in the beginning. It's just a small bit of world building. It's just an interesting little gimmick for a second. It's not the climactic moment of a character's story. That's the difference. Like, I hope that people watching this understand what I'm saying, because then maybe one day we'll have people making movies that understand this themselves. Because it's very simple. And also, you know, I don't want to be too hard. Like, again, I really like Mila Jovovich. I think she's a very talented actress. And actually, the director of this movie, who she's actually married to, Paul W.S. Anderson, I think he's a talented director. He's made 2 movies that I really like. Mortal Kombat, the first one, not the second one. At least I don't think he did the second one. But as far as, you know, video game movies go, I like Mortal Kombat. But then a movie that I legitimately like with no caveats, Event Horizon, I think is an incredibly effective sci-fi horror movie. Hey, No Crow. Hey, well, we know what's going to happen in there eventually. And that's slimy and lovely as ever. And What the Fuck Stu is just all over everything. Oh, go away, friend. Don't message me right now. I'm recording a video. But it's astounding to me to see a director that I respect that's made a movie that I like as much as Event Horizon stealing from Terminator 2 and RoboCop. And you can argue they're homages if you want to, but then you have to also remember that this franchise continuously repeats that stupid hallway laser scene. So I really need to ask, how many ideas are the brain trust of this franchise bringing to the table every time they make a new movie? Considering they're always recycling the laser hallway scene. They're always recycling Alice waking up somewhere. They're always recycling her bumping into video game characters that ultimately don't matter that much in the grand scheme of the story. They recycle so much over 6 movies, it doesn't surprise me in a way that they kill off Wesker, sorry, spoilers, Wesker, one of the biggest villains in this franchise, by ripping off 2 movies at once. But it makes me sad too, because I would love to see Paul W.S. Anderson move on from Resident Evil and make more movies like Event Horizon, just like I would love for Mila Jovovich to go on and make something else like The Fifth Element, or, I don't know, anything else. She's very talented.
All right, new deal.
And it's not just the 2 of them. Like Claire Redfield in these movies, Ali Larter, I think she's quite talented, but she keeps getting dragged back for these. Give her more to do. I love the guy that plays Wesker. He's a great hammy over-the-top villain. Give him things to do in other movies. Can we just stop wasting money on these Resident Evil movies that have very, very little to do with the games, and they're just making it up as they go? That's what it really feels like. Watching Resident Evil: The Final Chapter, it legitimately feels like they're just making it up as they go. Because again, they just rewrite so much of the lore for this movie in the first 10 minutes of it that it just makes you wonder, what was the point of the other movies? Like in the first 10 minutes of this movie, they bring back a character to life who died in the 3rd one, just by saying it was a clone that died. So, okay, where's he been in all the other movies? Why haven't we seen him before? And why doesn't he have more clones? Why aren't they just sending armies of clones out to kill all the zombies? Why don't they send armies of clones to take care of Alice? And oh my god, the whole thing at the end, again, spoilers, about how the plague was actually manufactured in the dying earth. Oh, this is very Blair Witch, except... Oh, he's dead. Oh, god, he's crying blood. And his teeth. Oh, I'm gonna have to, like, censor that. So you see, that's just a quick little homage. Like, I guess it was like 6 minutes long, but when you're playing a game, you don't mind it if it's 6 minutes long. And it moves on. It's not a huge climactic moment. That's how you do a homage. And now, because I've watched that video, I know I go over here and I pull the thing in the chimney and I move on. That's clever. Put stuff like that in the Resident Evil movies. Get clever. Don't just have big tanks leading hordes of millions of zombies. As cool as that was, without a story behind that moment, without like things that make sense behind the idea of this tank leading millions of zombies, the moment falls flat and it doesn't work anymore because it's now in a really stupid movie. You could do so much with something like that. They could have tanks like that just roaming around controlling the populations of the zombies so that we could try and be rebuilding. Oh, but no, we have to do this stupid plot about killing all the humans so that the elite can survive in classism and stuff like that. You know, if you want to tackle politics in your silly horror sci-fi franchise, I applaud you. But do it better than that. Don't just retroactively make this entire franchise about killing off all the poor people so that the rich can live in lavishness. That's the kind of lazy bullshit that we had in Spectre, when they suddenly just decided that all of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies have been happening because of Christoph Waltz's character, and he's been manipulating him and fucking with him for years and years and years and years. I mean, maybe I just spoiled Spectre for someone, but it's 2 years old and it's terrible, so who cares? Just I'll throw spoiler warnings up at the beginning of this. I don't know, I'm kind of running out of steam here as the character jumps into nasty pit water. Like, I think this is where I would kind of draw the line. Like, before I went wading through the pit water, I would make sure that there was no other options, and I absolutely had to go into the pit water, because that's just nasty. Who knows what's in there? It's probably full of bacteria, and like, it's weirdly bubbly, as you're seeing right there. That also scared the crap out of me the first time it happened. I wouldn't just go jumping in the water in real life. But again, this is just a video game. But I just gotta point that out. This moment right here is pretty cool too. Well, I mean, it's absolutely horrifying. Oh god! I'll censor that a bit too, maybe. And I think this is the Poltergeist. This is the moment that reminds me of Poltergeist. And again, it's just a cute little thing. It's a corpse floating in water, dirty ditch water. And it's the guy from the movie, which is a nice little touch. Another little clever thing that would help out the Resident Evil movies very much so if they included this kind of stuff. But they don't. And who knows, maybe the 7th Resident Evil movie will finally be good. Because I'm telling you, it's coming. It's coming. It's gonna happen. This movie ends on a cliffhanger. We're getting more Resident Evil movies. And that, it's almost tiresome at this point. It's just to think about having to watch more of these, it just leaves me exhausted. But the thought of this game is invigorating. This is really creepy. Oh, forgot about that. That was creepy by itself. But whatever this is, really, I think is really effective and creepy. You got like a mom and a dad and some kids, and then creepy cycling of words going into this big who knows what. I don't know, the ambiance, the tension, the atmosphere. This game is so good. And here I am finding Mia, basically. So here's a good place to cut it off. Anything beyond this is too spoilery, I think. So I'm gonna go. So if you're a gamer, consider Resident Evil 7 incredibly recommended. Again, I haven't beaten it yet. Maybe the ending's terrible, but the first couple of hours are amazing. But on the other front, fuck Resident Evil 7. Fuck Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. I hope everyone involved with it is able to move on and have a career beyond it and be successful in all their endeavors. But this movie was not good. It was legitimately painfully bad. A front runner for the worst of 2017. And I'm gonna go. So later!